Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Irving Chung. He is an entrepreneur, career coach, franchising consultant, founder and CEO of FranGuidance, a resource for exploring and investing in franchise businesses worldwide. Welcome to the show, Irving.
Thank you so much, Kudanya. It's a pleasure to be here.
You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India in this online form, Irving. So we'll be talking about, a lot of people will benefit from what we are going to talk about. We'll be talking about transitioning from their career to franchise business ownership. So my first question to you, Irving, is to understand a lot of people who are in their careers, they want to be their own boss, and many a times they think about other many options. Franchises are a very good option for them, but is it for everyone? How do you know as a career person that this is the road for me to take or not? And also, how do you decide whether these people are fit for that particular thing before they move forward? I want to understand about this, from a common man's perspective. Help us understand.
Okay, great. Now there's about 4 questions there, maybe 5.
Right.
The first one is why franchising? Franchising, and what is franchising? So franchises are businesses that are established businesses where somebody had created a system and has become very successful with that business, and they're sharing all the secrets to that success. They have supply chain figured out. They have customer service figured out. They have employee models set up. They have all these dynamics of how to start and run the business to the fastest at profitability. When you start your own business as a startup, half of your time is spent figuring out how to do it. And you're learning by making mistakes, right? In a franchise, you're starting off without learning by mistakes. You're starting off with the best practices, the best way to sell, the best way to support, and the best way to service. So franchises are the fastest and most reliable and the lower risk option for business ownership. So that's the reason why franchising is so attractive. Now, is it for everybody? The answer is no, it's not. And the reason why it's not for everybody is because there's certain rules to running a franchise. When you sign up for a franchise, they expect you to want to learn the business model, execute the business model, and to run the business the way it's supposed to be run. I mean, that's what you're buying with a proven model, right? Someone says, hey, I'm going to give you the 10 steps to success. And if you don't want to learn those 10 steps, then you shouldn't buy a franchise, because those 10 steps are what you're buying. So people who are know-it-alls, who think they know everything, people who are stubborn and don't want to learn, people who don't like following instructions are not right for a franchise. Now, in terms of all the options, I have over 1,000 different options in my portfolio. And how do I pick the right business? There's 3 criteria that I work with people. Oftentimes, it's funny. People come to me and say, Irving, I want the business that's going to make me the most money. That's what I want. That's all I want is money. And I tell them, I was like, no, you don't just want money. I said, we all want money. I said, but you know how the old saying goes, money doesn't buy you happiness, right? It's not bad. It can buy you some happiness, but it's not the whole answer. There's 3 criteria that I go through. Number 1 is economics. Can you afford the business? Because my businesses range in investment in US dollars from $75,000 to $2 million, depending on the business. If you can't afford the business, you obviously shouldn't consider it. And number 2 of economics is how much you can make. We're in it to make a certain goal. We're in it to make a living. And if it's not going to make the money you want to make, then it's not worth your time. Number 2 is conviction. You got to believe in the service you deliver. For example, I'm not a smoker. So if someone told me I can make $1 million a month selling cigarettes and vape, I wouldn't be able to do that with a genuine heart, right? I don't have conviction for that. Number 3 is passion. Am I going to enjoy running that business? Because when you own a franchise, your franchise license on average is about 10 years long. So am I going to enjoy the business from year 1 all the way through to year 10? If you don't enjoy it, even if you're making a lot of money, by year 2 or 3, you're going to be tired of the business. You're not going to be happy. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, indeed, indeed, Irvin. So I want to understand through your, how did you get into this particular business? Did you try businesses on your own? Were you working yourself and then moved into? Why into this business? Does it make more sense for you? I want to get the lessons through your own journey, Irvin.
Sure, of course. So I was in corporate, right? So, my parents are Chinese immigrants. I grew up in the United States, and they said, I want you to get a college education, work for a company, and work for them for your whole lifetime. If you take care of them, they'll take care of you. Well, my father had a very old, outdated view of the work world, because that's not how it works today, right? And so I went to college, got a job, tried to be as effective as I can. In fact, I worked and climbed the ladder for about 25 years, made it to senior vice president, even made it to general manager positions of the advertising world. I had a great career, so I enjoyed it. It was fantastic. But what I say to most people is it's great until it's not, which means that when I looked at my bank account, I had 3 boys I had to put through college. I didn't have enough money saved to put them in college. And I realized that I sacrificed so much time and so much effort for companies and still was not financially, where I needed to be. I was very frustrated. And so, like a lot of people, when you get to the senior levels too, you deal with more politics, you deal with more anxiety and more stress. And I just felt my health was failing. The anxiety, the stress, my bank account wasn't as full as it needed to be. And I was really disenchanted with the whole corporate world. And so I decided that, I need to find a better option. And so I met with a franchise consultant like myself, and they opened up a whole nother world to me. I looked at all these different businesses, and I ended up buying an indoor cycling studio because of the recurring revenue model, because health and fitness is becoming a very strong paradigm that people are incorporating in their life. They understand that proactive health management is a critical factor they need to think about for maintaining longevity and positive life. And then also because I love fitness. I like helping other people. I've always gone to gyms and always worked out and always stayed healthy. And one of my favorite sports is cycling. So I ended up going with that direction, and I've been running it for the last 6 years. It's been fantastic. I run it with my wife. It's also called a semi-absentee owner business. And that's important because it's a business that is run by a manager primarily, which means I don't run the day-to-day operations. I don't have to wake up at 5:30 to open the door and close the doors at 8:30. We're open 7 days a week. And the only time I'm in the studio is when I take spin classes myself. Otherwise, it's run by the front desk team, a manager, and a instructor, which means I have time to do other things. And so what I've decided to do, and with creating my company, FranGuidance, I decided to kind of pay it forward, help other people learn about what I've learned to achieve financial freedom and freedom of time. Now that I work, the franchise, in addition to franchise consulting, I also do marketing consulting because that was my background corporately. And so I've created 3 revenue streams out of what was one corporate revenue stream, right? So I've tripled my income. I travel whenever I want to travel. This past October, I went to Portugal for 2 weeks with my wife, because all these income streams I can do remotely. I can do it from, all over the world. And so I've achieved what I feel to be, the entrepreneur dream. And so part of what I do is I want to pay it forward to other people.
Right, Irving. In terms of franchise ownership, and what is the actual thing on the ground? Does a franchise choose me, or I choose a franchise? How does it work? Because money is a very important factor, and my passion might be a couple of them. Many a times, a right calibration has to happen. What is the truth on the ground? That I asked, who picks whom, and
Yeah,
actually on the ground?
that's a very smart question, because most people don't even think about that. This is a matching process, right? And so it's a joint evaluation. The franchisor needs to approve you in order for you to make the decision of whether or not you can buy that franchise. Not everybody is going to be approved. They're going to be looking for a good personality fit. They're going to look for a financial fit. They're going to look for, a lot of factors to determine if you're a good fit for their business. And let me tell you why. Because franchises make money by charging what's called royalties. Royalties are a percent of your income. Now, we'll talk about that maybe more in a minute, but royalties range from 2% to 12%, depending on the business. And it helps to pay for the support that you get from a franchise. When you work with a franchise for 10 years, let's say, they're there supporting you with sales and operations and marketing. And to fund those support systems, they charge royalties, so it's not just them taking profit, it's them supporting you to be successful in your business. But anyway, with that said, a franchisor is not successful unless their franchisees are successful, right? They want to make sure they get the person that's a good fit, because they want to make sure that you're going to be successful. If they see warning signs that you're not going to be a good business owner, they're not going to approve you. So, some people have this false understanding that they just want to take your money. And if you have the money, I've worked with people who have 10, $20 million net worth, come to the table and they get rejected and they don't understand it. They're like, I don't understand why I have all this money. Well, because you don't have a good attitude. You're not open-minded. You're not willing to listen to instructions. You know what I mean? And so those are the kind of people that get rejected because they don't seem like they're going to be a good fit.
Right. In terms of, as a franchise owner, or you one who guides them, who coaches them, how does this franchisee, you talk about more passion, more money, more freedom and control. Passion is about what? Because it has to be a two-way street. As I said, passion does not determine that I'll get that franchise, because again, money will be a determining factor. There has to be some money that you need to put up front. More money, yes, that can come. More freedom, you are in a position that you can let that franchisee of yours run by a manager.
Yes.
But when you call it a business, you have to dig deep into that business and understand till it becomes so successful that someone else can run it for you. Either in terms of control, how does that control happen? What is in my control? The brand image is all I have, and that's it. So what is it that I control when I am actually getting into this franchise model of entrepreneurship? Help us understand through the things that you said.
There are several questions here. So I'll start with the control question. Everything about that business is under your control. Okay. It's your business. They're going to give you the instructions, the manual, the processes, the training, and it's up to you to hire the right people, right? And you hire the right people. Like, even a lot of people I work with are in corporate America or in the corporate system. Okay. And they've probably been hiring and firing people their whole life, but the company is the one that trains them and supports them in doing that, or the HR department, right? When you start your own business, it's very important you bring in the right people. People are going to be working hard, people that are honest, people that are going to be doing what they need to do, who are responsible. So that's the number one thing, is bringing in the right people and recognizing when you have the wrong people. So I always have a motto when it comes to small business ownership that I learned firsthand. It's hire slow, fire fast. And what that means is take your time, do background checks, do reference checks, give them a trial period. And so take your time, don't rush into hiring the wrong person. Talk to many people, bring in what you think is the best person. But if you start seeing signs that they're not delivering, you got to fire them. I mean, it sounds ruthless, but when you own a small business, every person is critical, right? Especially if you want to run it semi-absentee and step away from the business. You can't do that if you don't have someone you trust and who's proven. So that's number one. You'll never be able to walk away. Some people are also people who are micromanagers. That's not a good trait, because they have a hard time walking away, period. Now, if you want to, work your business and be a micromanager, that's your choice. But if you intend to walk away, but you're a micromanager, you have to learn to let go, right? You have to learn to trust. So those are factors, right? You create what you want to create. So you have the control of that. If you don't want to step away, you don't step away. If you don't hire the people that you trust and stay close to them to understand in the beginning if they're good people, then you can't walk away. But if you can be involved, I mean, so, from day one, I was not semi-absentee. I worked pretty hard in the business for the first 6 months. And my goal in those 6 months was to make sure that I was watching and working with all the people that I hired. I had fired 2 people during those 6 months that weren't right. And I had to start over again with them, right? So that's what it takes is start hands-on, and hire the right people. So when it comes to control, you control everything in your business, and like I said, you hire the people you want, you fire the people that you don't want. You control everything, the hours you open, all that type of thing, the pricing. There's a lot of things that you'll control with the guidance of the franchisor for best practices, but you have control at the end of the day. Okay. Now, in terms of passion is so widely defined. Passion could simply be, I want to make a lot of money and own a business that's successful. That's okay. I mean, most of us want to own a business that makes a lot of money. The other aspect of passion could also be bringing a service to the community. For example, I have a senior care business. Senior care is a booming business in the United States. There's over 10,000 people turning over 65 a day. It's going to be the largest population group. And senior care means you're going to help seniors age in their home. Now, that's a great service to bring to a community, because my parents used senior care to age in their home because they were in New York. I was in Texas. I couldn't be there every day. And it helped them to be able to take care of themselves with help, right? So that's a that's a very big passion business, that is different from it. Passion could also be like, I chose my business because I enjoy fitness. I enjoy cycling. That's a personal passion. So there's a lot of ways to define passion.
Right, right, Irving. In terms of ownership of the business, the fact is that you give the money, you get the expertise,
Yes.
you get more than that. But in a wider sense, if we understand, it is the brand name that one gets of the bigger firm, so that you can start doing business from day one. But that brand is owned by someone else, and my business is totally dependent on that brand. How do I de-risk myself in case something happens to that brand image uh, going forward? Anything can happen at any point in time. Now, I do not have that, the deep pockets to withstand that particular time when when a bad news comes in. How do I deal with such a scenario? It can happen anywhere for right or wrong reasons.
Yeah. So there's a double-edged sword to that, right? You're buying a brand, and like you said, you're, at the mercy of that brand. One of the number one things the franchisor is looking for is someone who's going to respect the brand and run the brand the way it's supposed to run. For example, if I bought a Starbucks and I start making my own coffee with my own formula, that is going to hurt the brand, because someone's going to go to that store. It's like, oh, this is terrible. This isn't the coffee I get when I'm in London, or if I'm in France, or if I'm in New York, right? So they really are strict about, this is the business you're buying, this is the business you're going to run, because there is consistency that you're going to get all over the world. Now, the franchisor advertises to build awareness of that brand, and they work very hard to train business owners or franchisees how to operate within those brand parameters. Sometimes somebody breaks out from that brand, and they can actually lose their franchise license if they don't follow the brand, if they want to try to reinvent the brand or change the brand. So that is done to protect everyone else. Okay, so if you have one person who does it wrong, the franchisor can take away that franchise from them because they broke the contract. Part of that contract of owning the brand is that you're going to follow the rules. You're going to advertise and deliver the services that they deliver, and it's a benefit, because if I hear about a service like Starbucks that's all over the world, and if I'm in Bangladesh and I have coffee there, and I go to London for business and I have coffee there, it's going to be the same coffee that I have and the same taste, right? And that's what you're buying, is you're buying a business that's going to do well because it delivers a consistent product that people know about, that brand.
Right. But what about, suppose, the owners of the company? or the real owners who are, the headquarters fall into any regulatory problem or any other problem that can happen. Suppose the CEO
Sure.
has an incident. How do I protect myself for such,
Well, there
news
are a
or
couple,
outcomes?
there's a couple of protections you have. One of them is insurance protection. So let's say someone slips and falls and breaks their head open. That's protect you protect yourself through basic insurance, right? That covers that. In terms of the brand, the value of working with a franchise is that the franchisor has bigger pockets, right? And they have an interest in protecting that brand. They're going to put everything in place to protect that brand, whether it's hiring lawyers or taking care of whatever issue there is. They're gonna do it. For example, how do you protect yourself against something like a worldwide pandemic like COVID, right? That's a perfect example where if it wasn't for the franchisor's financial support and operational support, I would be out of business as an individual business owner. When the pandemic hit and the government told us that we had to shut our business down, right? Right away, the franchisor created systems and in place to try to create revenue during that circumstance. What they allowed us to do is they created a business that allowed us to rent our bikes to customers and to do virtual classes at home. And what they did to do that, they created a whole system for renting the bikes, a billing process. They created virtual training classes so people can do workouts on their TV or on their phone, and they charged for that service. And so I was able to keep my revenue. But for me to create a video studio and to create a whole new POS system and to create all these processes, I wouldn't have the knowledge or the resources to do that. So if it wasn't for the franchisor thinking about preservation, which is, if everyone fails below them, they fail, right? And so they said, I need to help everybody to be successful. So they created all these systems and they invested all this money that they had because they're a big company to create those solutions for us. That's how you're protected. You're much more protected with someone who has deep pockets than running a business yourself where you're doing it dollar by dollar.
Right, right, Edwin. Now, if I have a successful, I'm a successful franchise owner, and everything's going fine. One day I want to exit this particular business,
Yeah.
maybe 2 years, 5 years down the line. How difficult or how easy is that for a franchise owner?
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways to exit the business. Primarily, what you want to do is you want to sell the business. So there's three ways you can make money in a business. You can pay yourself a salary to be an active owner, right? So I'm a semi-absentee owner. So I'm not directly active, but I make a salary. At the end of the year, I take a profit, which is anything extra I take as a dividend. And then, so that's the second way to make money. The third way I make money is when I sell it. So franchises, the valuation of an existing franchise is 3 to 4 times your earnings, right? Your EBITDA, your, after expenses, all your profit. So let's say in US dollars, if I make 150,000 in profit, I can sell my business for 450 to 600,000. That's the next way that's the third way you make money in the business. Now, when you say how hard and easy is it? Well, if you're profitable and you have a strong business, it's easier to sell than if you don't have a profitable business. It's just common sense. But also, if you have an unsuccessful business or not successful business, you can also sell it at a value, right? So people will pay less to make less, but you can still sell it and make something. For example, if I'm only making 50,000, I can sell it for 150 to 200,000, versus 450 to 600. So it's all relative to the success you've brought to the business. There's three ways to sell it. You can sell it to customers and employees. You can sell it to back to the franchisor. So the franchisor is always looking for people to buy a franchise. So they will always have a list of people willing to buy. And one of the things that they'll sell is what's called a resale business, is an existing business. So they will often sell your business. If you tell them, say, hey, listen, I'm ready to sell my business. If you find someone who wants mine, please help me sell it. They'll help you sell it. And then the third way to sell it is there's such a thing as a business broker. It's a business that sells businesses globally, and they'll list it for you for zero cost on a contingency. to make 10% if they sell it for you. So there's lots of ways to sell a business. But like I said, the value of that business and the ease of selling it is based on how successful it is.
Right, right, Irvin. So you talked about, one of the big sectors that you are seeing is the senior care. What are the other sectors, in present day people can look at?
There's so many different options. There's children enrichment. So on the other side of the spectrum, you have children, and parents are always looking to make their children better people. I have education enrichment. I have things like Kumon and tutoring centers, like Huntington Learning Center. I have dance enrichment, teaching kids to appreciate music and dance. I have sports enrichment, teaching them how to have coordination and teamwork and things like that. So parents are always investing in their kids to help add to their growth, right? So that's another category. I have pet care. In the United States, again, I know this is a global podcast, but people treat their pets like family. So I have pet food, pet grooming. I have all types of pet businesses, pet training. I have fitness, like I talked about, excuse me, in my interest, tons of different fitness concepts. I have yoga. I have, Pilates. I have cycling. I have lots of different fitness. I have food concepts. Most people think when they think franchise, they think food. I have lots of food concepts. Basically, I have everything, something in every category. I even have healthcare. I have mental health businesses. I have chiropractic and physical therapy. So the beauty of a franchise is whatever you enjoy doing or have a vision of doing, I can probably find a good fit for you in the franchise world. And it has to do, like I said, about the three things we talked about. Economics, can you afford the business and is it going to make you money? Number two, do you have conviction? Do you believe in the service? And number three is passion. And part of it might be seeing what is in need in your area, in your community. I have 2 dogs, and it takes a long time for me to book grooming appointments for my dogs because there's not enough service here. So I know from a firsthand experience that if I brought a grooming business here, there would be plenty of demand because it's hard for me to make an appointment.
Wonderful, wonderful. There are many options that are available. I can see some of these options. I can see they are doing good here in India also. So the world is changing, and the world gives more option towards owning a business in whatever form it is. And this
That's
is
correct.
This is one. So a lot of people who would want to know more about these options, these opportunities about franchising, owning a franchise business, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah. So one of the best things about my service is my services are free to people. And the reason why they're free is because I'm paid by the franchisors to help educate people so that they can explore it and determine, is this right for me? Right. That's the number one question you ask is, how do I know if it's right for me? Well, working with someone like me, who's an expert, who understands the industry, that's the best way to start. And the best way to contact me is through my website, franguidance.com. That's FranGuidance.com. On there is a calendar link. On there is my phone number. You can reach out and make an appointment for me. I can work anywhere via Zoom. So happy to talk to anybody worldwide about the opportunity to learn about franchising.
Right. And for people who are outside the US, you can also help them?
Yes. So I do have some businesses that are global. Most of my portfolio is in the United States, but I do have a percentage of businesses that are global. And I can help, people all over the world. Yes.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.